Welcome to the deep dive. So you've handed us quite a stack of sources today, and honestly, the topic, it's not just interesting, it feels like it's fundamentally reshaping, well, everything.
It really does.
We're talking about this growing idea, this hypothesis that maybe our whole existence is some kind of grand simulation, and it's clearly moved way beyond just, philosophical debates.
Oh, absolutely. That's what's so striking about these sources, the sheer range. We're seeing everything from actual technological breakthroughs to major shifts in how industries operate, even changes in social norms, political thinking.
Right.
So we really need to get a handle on what the sources call simulation awareness. And it's not just like passively thinking, maybe we're in a simulation.
Right.
No, it's more active. It's this commitment to actually building incredibly detailed simulation technologies because of that philosophical idea.
Okay. So there's two things happening at once.
Oh.
The big existential idea hitting home, and then this drive to build the tech based on it.
Exactly. A dual revolution, like you said. And our mission today really is to pull out the biggest implications, how this is already changing things in, let's see, business, sports, philosophy, and even global politics.
Four huge areas. It feels like we're tracing a path from just accepting the idea to actually maybe exploiting it and then trying to govern within it.
That's a great way to put it. It's a journey.
Okay, so where do we start? Maybe with the philosophical shift itself, because before we get to the business strategies or the athlete training, we need to understand how thinking is changing, right?
Makes sense. Yeah, let's start there. There's one source, a quantum leap. It tackles this change in consciousness directly.
And what's the core takeaway? Is it making everyone, give up?
Well, that's the fascinating part. You'd think maybe it would lead to nihilism, right? Oh, it's not real, so why bother? But the sources argue the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, grappling with the idea of a simulated reality tends to foster a, quote, greater appreciation for life's complexities.
Huh. That feels backwards. How does questioning reality make you value it more?
Well, the idea is it pushes you towards this really focused, curiosity-driven mindset. If you think reality might be programmed or layered somehow, then maybe the experiences you have, the beauty, the connection, the joy, they become even more valuable, more unique,
Certainly.
like you're exploring the simulation's potential.
So you're testing the limits of the program almost, seeking out the best bits.
Sort of, yeah. It shifts your focus, maybe less about collecting stuff and more about collecting rich experiences, meaningful connections.
Okay, that reframes things quite a bit. The goal isn't to doubt the container, but to maximize what's inside it. So being adaptable is key.
Exactly. Hyper-adaptability. And you see that reflected almost immediately in the business world. It follows right on.
Right, okay, let's unpack that. Moving into how this idea is being, used. Starting with business and profit, there was that source, Simulation Theory Sparks Innovation. It talked about businesses really changing strategies.
Oh, dramatically. It describes a massive shift in perspective. Companies aren't just, reacting to the market anymore. They're actively using tech innovations that are directly inspired by this simulation concept, thinking about reality within a reality.
And how does that work practically? You mentioned digital twins earlier.
Right, so traditionally a digital twin is just like a virtual model of a physical thing, an asset.
Like the jet engine or something.
Exactly. But in this new context, companies are building these incredibly detailed simulations of their entire operational worlds.
The whole thing.
Yes, supply chains, models of how customers might behave, even simulating geopolitical risks. And then they stress test these simulations in ways they just couldn't or wouldn't dare to in real life. They're probing the edge cases of their own reality.
Wow, so strategy shifts from just being resilient, like bouncing back, to being actively predictive. They're trying to see the future by simulating it.
That's the goal, exploiting the simulation idea to get a competitive edge. It's like trying to see around corners, essentially.
Because if the rules might be flexible, their plans have to be too.
Precisely. They're using the simulation concept itself as like the ultimate sandbox for planning, redefining how they operate, how they engage customers. It's pretty radical.
It really sounds like it. And this mindset, this optimization and adaptation, it feels like a short jump from the boardroom to the sports field.
A very short jump.
Yeah.
The sports world, as that other source detailed, sports in a simulated reality, they might be the fastest adopters here.
Which makes sense, right? Athletes live and breathe performance metrics.
Sure, it's all about tiny gains.
And this simulation idea offers them something like, the source doesn't say cheat code, but it's close.
So we're talking more than just like watching replays in VR. The source mentioned an athletic renaissance. That sounds big.
Much more, yeah. It's way beyond just physical training now. They're using these super high-fidelity simulation tools to fine-tune things like neurological efficiency, reaction times.
Neurological, not just muscles. Exactly. They simulate opponents, game day pressures, even extreme physical states over and over, but without the actual physical toll on the body.
So the simulation is training the brain to process and predict faster, better.
That's the core idea. And if you zoom out, the source says this is basically writing a whole new playbook for sports. As these tools spread, the very definition of peak performance starts to shift.
Meaning tech becomes essential, not just optional.
Yeah, maybe mandatory integration.
Yeah.
Imagine pre-game VR modeling becoming just as crucial as physical practice drills. It could lead to totally new standards in competition.
That move from just physical limits to tech-augmented performance. Wow. Okay, let's pull back again. We've looked at individuals, companies. What about the collective? Governance, politics. If we're all starting to think about this potentially shared, maybe changeable reality, how does that play out globally?
Right, this is where the source, A New Political Frontier, gets really interesting and actually kind of hopeful. It suggests these big, shared existential questions are pushing leaders towards, believe it or not, more open dialogues.
More open, that feels like a leap. Why would thinking we're in a simulation make politicians more transparent?
Well, the argument is it changes the focus. If leaders have to genuinely consider the fragility or the rules of the whole system they're governing, maybe those old national squabbles start seeming less important than the bigger shared picture, shared risks, you know? So they end up debating these core ethical questions more openly, navigating this new landscape together.
So the simulation idea acts like a common challenge, something that potentially unites groups that were fighting before.
That's the potential the sources see, this shift towards exploring collaboration, especially on shared global problems, climate change, pandemics, you name it. Could this shared existential framing finally push us towards more innovative policies, maybe a more connected and empathetic political climate?
Because the theory itself forces you to think about the whole system.
Exactly. Systems-level thinking, which almost by definition needs more collaboration.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The human side of all this. We've got acceptance, we've got using the idea, but who's leading this and who's pushing back?
Yeah, the sources definitely anticipate specific character developments, as they put it. They predict we'll see these advocates, these visionaries emerge, key people in tech, sports, politics.
The early adopters.
Right, the ones who not only get it, but actively push for the changes. They become the sort of heroes or champions of this new way of thinking, showing everyone else what's possible when you adapt.
They show how to thrive in the system.
Precisely. And their success pulls others along. But there's always resistance to big changes, right?
Always.
And the sources are clear. The pushback, the big debates, they're going to center really intensely on authenticity and human experience.
Ah, okay. That feels like the emotional core of it, doesn't it? Is a life lived with this simulation awareness, maybe hyper-optimized somehow, less real, less valid?
That's exactly the conflict. Expect really passionate arguments about what makes existence valid. People will push back hard, arguing that embracing all this tech, the optimization, the predictive stuff, maybe it erodes something fundamentally human, something spontaneous.
The real life versus the simulated life debate, even if the simulation is where we actually live.
Right. Is it less valuable if it's potentially programmed? Even if it leads to better outcomes, that's going to be a huge, passionate, and probably unavoidable debate.
Feels guaranteed given the scale of what we're talking about.
Absolutely unavoidable. It forces us to ask, what do we value about our experience, regardless of the underlying infrastructure, silicon or stardust, as one source put it?
So putting it all together, the main takeaway from these sources seems crystal clear. This simulation idea isn't just a theory anymore. It's kicking off a massive transformation.
Right. It's the beginning.
We've seen it impacting everything from how athletes train their brains to forcing businesses into radical new predictive models and maybe, just maybe, pushing politics towards more collaboration through these shared questions.
It's hitting basically every sector, and fast. And looking forward, the sources suggest this isn't stopping. The focus will likely stay on tech breakthroughs and how other big areas like education or entertainment start adapting.
How so?
Well, think about those high-tech tools athletes are using now for neurological training. It's not a huge leap to see how those could totally revolutionize, say, a classroom or job training tomorrow.
That makes sense. Okay, so here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on after this deep dive. If embracing this simulation idea, this potential new reality, leads to concrete, positive changes like more empathy, better global cooperation, optimized health and performance, how much should we worry about the philosophical anxiety over authenticity? Does that anxiety outweigh the potential benefits that come from the very technologies this revelation inspired? Something to think about.